Yes, welcome back to DR Sports Transfers. Yet another update for you. Things are moving really quickly in the transfer market right now. Make sure before we get into the topics that you can see in the headline, and they are very good topics indeed, make sure you like the video, help Don Robbie out. He needs all the help you can get, as do we all, and comment with your thoughts on today's transfer news. And of course, as I always say, subscribe if you haven't already to DR Sports. Let's get into it then. The first thing that we're going to talk about, as you can see from the title, Chelsea are now ready and are in pole position to sign not only Frankie De Jong, but Aubameyang as well. Who would have thought this when Aubameyang left Arsenal less than a year ago in January of this year, I believe it is. It really is stunning news and just didn't think it would happen, but here we go. Chelsea are ready to sign the Dutch midfielder Frankie De Jong, 25 years old, and Gabon forward Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang if Barcelona decide to sell them. But then we also know that the bid of 67.6 million has been agreed between Chelsea and Barcelona for De Jong. The Blues are waiting on a decision for De Jong. This is the key thing. You know, you can agree a deal, a fee can be agreed between the two clubs, but it's the personal terms that have to be agreed. And is there any more players in the world with bigger issues when it comes to personal agreements than Frankie De Jong? As we all know, he's currently owed around 17 million euros in wages, which again just defies logic, defies law, really. And now you've seen that Barcelona are actually trying to take and switch the light onto De Jong as the one in the wrong, and they're actually trying to take him to court. They believe there's been some criminality around his new contract that he signed, which of course he has agreed with the club. It was all signed off, but now they're trying to play the dirty tricks and go back and try and force De Jong to leave the club with no payment, which is just unbelievable when you think about it. I mean, he's now being booed as he enters the training ground in Barcelona, which is totally unfair. And I think the fans who are booing him as he comes in his car need to have their head wobbled and have their heads checked, because it's definitely not his fault. But it looks like his nightmare at the new camp might be over. The Blues are waiting on the decision from De Jong, who would prefer to join Stamford Bridge, Chelsea, than join Manchester United. Now, the main reason for that is obviously Chelsea have Champions League football this year. Manchester United don't. It's been pretty clear throughout the whole summer of him being linked with Manchester United that it isn't the club he wants to go to. I think that's quite an obvious thing to say. But at the same time, he has to go somewhere, because the chances of him staying at Barcelona are getting slimmer and slimmer by the hour as this whole thing turns really sour. But it looks like if he is going to move, if he is forced to move, then it looks like it might just be Chelsea that he goes to and not Manchester United. We've just done a poll for you as well. Where will De Jong end up? The answers that you can vote for are Manchester United, Chelsea, and stay at Barcelona, which currently right now only has 7% of you voting for that. So where will he go? Will it be Stamford Bridge? He's obviously still owed this money. Will Chelsea stump up the money and pay that for him and get it across the line? Or will he go to Manchester United, or will he stay at Barcelona? Speaking of Chelsea, they're also very keen in continuing to pursue a deal for the Leicester defender Wesley Fofana, who is only 21, we should remember. We spoke about that yesterday. It's looking around the £70 million mark for Fofana to make that switch to Chelsea. Now, you have to say, if Chelsea can get De Jong, Fofana and Aubameyang over the line, does that take them to everyone's predicted third to maybe second or first? I want to hear you in the comments right now. We've had a comment here already that says Chelsea will walk the league. Chelsea will run away with the league, says Fichajo Nueve, which again is, you know, you can't say that they're going to run away with the league, but their chances of winning the league certainly do get improved when you have the likes of Frankie De Jong and Aubameyang and maybe even Fofana coming through the door. So Chelsea fans, how will you feel right now if you secure all three of those signings? Do let us know in the comments. Haaland in the comments says Aubameyang going to win many trophy like Giroud and Ashley Cole when he goes to Chelsea. Redro Petro there saying De Jong said no to Tuchel for 2 months, but now he could be saying yes to Tuchel. A boomerang that's a very good one, says AC. A boomerang, obviously, Aubameyang, if he does go to Chelsea, will that sour his relationship with the Arsenal fans? Let's not forget, he only left there around 6 months ago, has been playing really well for Barcelona, scored a few goals. I think his squad number has recently just changed, as we mentioned yesterday, from I think it's 25 to 17, which is his preferred number that he had in Borussia Dortmund. Obviously was number 14 for Arsenal for those years from 2017 to 2022, those 5 years at Arsenal. But Arsenal fans, how do you feel about this? Does this hurt? I think it must do, seeing your former captain being linked to Chelsea. Not that he actually would want to go to Chelsea, if we're being honest. I mean, you don't just go to Barca for 6 months and leave. You go there at the age of 33 to potentially see out the rest of your career. But with what's going on at Chelsea and what's going on at Barcelona, Chelsea need a striker, and Barcelona need to get rid of strikers. So it's a shame what's happened in terms of Aubameyang's career. If you ask him deep down, how happy would he be by moving to Chelsea? I don't think it would be very much. Again, he's going to be very much financially rewarded for this, but it looks like he wants to stay at Barcelona, and this could be against his will if he does go. But on the other hand, on the other side of the coin, Manchester United have still not given up hope on signing De Jong, and they are confident that he will move to Old Trafford once they resolve the issue of the player's deferred wages with Barcelona. So Manchester United still not giving up. They've been in the race the whole summer. They've been maybe pipped to the post a lot of times this summer when it comes to transfer targets, but it looks like they're not giving up. And I guess if you are Erik ten Hag, why would you want to give up? He's the man you want, and you fight till the death to get your man. But if Chelsea are going to stump up the deferred wages, then it looks like it could be him that goes to Stamford Bridge. Isaiah with the super chat, thank you very much. He says, we weren't even going to make the top 4 this year, but now this changes everything, in caps lock as well, says Isaiah. Well, this is what I was just talking about. Does this change things for Chelsea? Does this take them to maybe a 4th or a 3rd, to a 2nd or a 1st, if they can get a firing Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang and a happy Frankie de Jong? Can they do it? Chelsea fans, I need you to let me know in the comments right now how you feel about this. Coin toss says Chelsea should be making top 4 over Arsenal. MTJ says it doesn't hurt. Arsenal didn't want him. Very interesting. Eric and De Jong have played together for 4 years, says Retro Petro. And Denzel says he's going to stay at Barcelona because I think they actually don't mind keeping him. Whereas De Jong wants Champions League, says J9CFC, obviously a Chelsea fan. So there you go. Will he end up at Chelsea? Will he end up at Barcelona? Will he end up at Manchester United? And there's also another aspect that I think people are maybe not realizing, especially if you're a Liverpool fan, who are obviously massively in need of another midfielder. Could he, if this all falls down with all these other clubs, could he go to Liverpool? I think if Liverpool aren't interested in him at this stage, then they should definitely be throwing the hat in the ring. That's the kind of player that Liverpool need. Liverpool fans in the comments, let us know if you think that he should or could go to Liverpool if all of this falls through. MP reminding us that De Jong has just 1 Champions League assist. What does he want Champions League for? Bit of an insult, that, to be honest. Coin toss says you have a much better manager than us, so I put my money on Chelsea. And J9 saying De Jong will come to Barca. Sorry, De Jong will come to Chelsea or stay at Barca. So there is no United there for J9, according to him. And Thomas Tuchel reminding J9 that we're on the brink of signing him. Maybe a United fan there. And Retro Petro there says De Jong will decide between Champions League or the main man for his former manager. It's a very, very interesting decision that Frankie de Jong has to make. And he does not have long to solve this. Ideally, you would have wanted these talks with Chelsea to have lasted for some time. But it looks like that this is going to drag right down until the final day now. We are just under 3 weeks away, 2 weeks and 6 days until this transfer window closes. Is that enough time to first of all sort out the deferred wages issue, but then second of all, choose the club and agree personal terms? Let us know in the comments. Do you think that's enough time for this to happen? Mr. T, hopefully it is the Mr. T, says Arsenal will win enough games against teams 7th or below to come at least 4th, regardless of what other teams do. Very interesting. Basically saying there that Arsenal won't really need to rely on winning against any of the top 6. If you do the job and win everyone down below from 7th and below, you can probably get into the top 4, regardless of what the other teams do. MP saying, Alex, we need midfielders in the worst way or in a top 4 battle, I fear. I think he's a Liverpool fan. And Clara Bitsy saying Liverpool won't pay these astronomical figures for Frankie de Jong. And Cointoss says, you don't need to read all my comments, but fair play for not being a snob. There you go, mate. Thank you very much. That's what you get when I do the show. You get me reading out a lot of the comments. Right, let's speak about Barcelona still. And Spanish defender Gerard Piqué, who's aged 35, has once again offered to play for free, which, I mean, will get him a lot of brownie points from the fans. But again, he's owed probably 4 times what Frankie de Jong is owed. He's owed about 80 million euros. So for him to say he'll play for free in order to help the club meet La Liga's financial fair play rules and register their new signings, I think, listen, you have to take your hat off to Gerard Piqué, who is obviously going through off-field shenanigans, as we should say. But he's offered to play for free. And again, there's so much money that they still owe him. So it's not like he's going to play for free. He still needs that money that he is owed. Will he get it soon? Will it be a deferred payment across the next 2 or 3 years? Who knows? But at this stage right now, I can confirm that Gerard Piqué has offered to play for free in order to ease those financial fair play worries that Barcelona currently find themselves in. And this would allow them to obviously register the likes of Frank Kessie and also Rafinha as well. These 2 players still aren't registered. I think finally Lewandowski is registered, but it's a race against time and it's a race for money. For Barcelona to be able to register their latest players. And there's also been massive shouts here on the back of them being able not to register the likes of Christensen and Kessie. They could also leave now for free, which is unbelievable. I mean, Chelsea sold Christensen. He'd been aiming for that move for so long to go to Barcelona. He finally got his move right at the start of the window, to the point where people actually forgot that he'd actually moved to Barcelona. I thought he was still a Chelsea player, but the 26-year-old Denmark defender plus the Ivory Coast midfielder Frank Kessie, they're both in their mid-20s, 25 and 26 respectively. They both obviously joined Barcelona this summer, but they could both leave for free if they cannot be registered before Saturday's first La Liga game. Let's not forget, it's Thursday today, or in Spain, they would say viernes, or no, jueves, I think it is. Miércoles, no, it's jueves. Yeah, 2 days. They have 2 days until La Liga's first match. So it really is all hands to the pump for Barcelona. And I'm guessing that either by the end of today or tomorrow, we will find out for sure whether Christensen and Kessie will be registered in time before the first La Liga match on Saturday. It is a massive, massive conundrum that Barcelona find themselves in. One that they've put themselves in, if we're honest. But how do you feel right now for Christensen and Kessie? Both dreamed of this move. Both dreamed of playing at the Nou Camp in the Blaugrana colours. But they might both leave for free this season without playing one competitive professional game for Barcelona. It's just, I've never heard anything like this. I really haven't before. And I've been learning about football across the last, well, my life. But then way before that, I've never heard of anything like this. And we're in 2022, guys. It's just unfathomable. Aldo State says we need Kessie at Spurs. Barca in the mud, says Sal. Chikurita Army says Kessie and Christensen are not leaving. Stop it. Well, unless they get registered, Chiquika, they will be leaving. It's tough to believe, but it's true. And then MP reminds us that somehow they're in for Bernardo Silva as well. Have you watched the new episodes for All or Nothing? I'm on episode 4, so don't ruin it for me. But yes, Barca are in the mud, and the longer that this goes on, it's unfathomable to think that players that they've already brought in might not even be registered. Staying on Barcelona, I mean, it is dominating the transfer rumour market at the moment. The club, Juventus, are now ready and in prime position to offer Memphis Depay a 2-year contract if, now this is a big sentence to say, if he can free himself from Barcelona, which, as we've just said, is not an easy thing to do right now. But Juventus look like they are ready to step in and save Depay's career. He's obviously just been moved from number 9 to squad number 25. So he won't be happy. But Sky in Italy are reporting that the forward only has 1 year left on his Barca contract, and they are ready to come in with an agreement that will allow him to leave. So Depay, do you go? Do you stay? If I was Depay, I would go to Juventus. I'd get away from Barcelona as quick as I can. He's obviously been there for 2 or 3 years now. Hasn't really been a massively successful spell for Depay at Barca or Barca in general for the last 2 years. They haven't won the league last year. Obviously, Real Madrid won that, and they took the Champions League as well. Thanks for reminding me. I'm trying to forget that. But Barcelona, let alone win La Liga, they need to be winning the Champions League almost every year, considering the size of the club. And they're just not going to do it with this furore that's going outside the club. So if you are Depay, do you leave? Do you go? It looks like he wants the move, but you have to remember that Juventus, they've just signed Dusan Vlahovic in January, so he won't be a guaranteed starter. Vlahovic will be the starter. So if Aubameyang does go to Barca, if Aubameyang does leave, it would make Barca more reluctant to part with Depay. That's what we have to remember as well. They can't just get rid of all their strikers. You obviously have Lewandowski up front. There's still Martin Braithwaite on the books, who again is refusing to leave until he gets paid. So there's nothing wrong with that in my eyes. But if Aubameyang leaves as well, then it leaves Barcelona very short when it comes to an out-and-out number 9. So that would affect if Depay goes to Juventus. So Aubameyang going to Chelsea would have a big ramification on that Barcelona squad. And it would also have to be made before or after Depay goes to Juventus. Let's get an update on that poll that we did earlier. Where will De Jong end up? 9% of you think Manchester United, which is crazy, considering where we were at the start of the transfer window. That was almost nailed on, that transfer. And a huge 2/3 of the poll, 65%, think that De Jong now ends up at Chelsea. Unbelievable. And this is even more crazy. 25% of you, a quarter of you, think that he will stay at Barcelona as well. So only 9% reckon it's Manchester United, 65 reckon Chelsea, and 25 reckon he stays at Barcelona. We have a comment here from Parisian London who says, why is PSG not an option in the poll? Verratti to City depends on Bernardo Silva going to Barca, meaning De Jong heading to PSG. I think that's a valid shout. I do think that PSG have to be an option here because of the money that they have, but also the politics between Auba waiting for Chelsea, Depay waiting for Juve. This could be an easy option for De Jong to go to Paris as well. Let's not forget that for a minute. Obviously, Verratti looking like he might go as well. Obviously, was caught yesterday smoking a cigarette by a fan. Maybe Parisian Londoner can let me know a bit more about that. Does he like cigarettes? What cigarettes does he like? Obviously, on DR Sports, we do not condone cigarette smokers. Okay. So, right, moving on to some more news here. Juventus also have a long-term interest in Manchester United's Anthony Martial. He's currently injured and could be missing for a few weeks, and that's been central to Erik ten Hag's plans during the summer as the number 9 before the injury. But again, if Depay doesn't go to Juventus, Martial, could he go to Juventus as well? It really has been a crazy kind of year, really, for Martial. Cast away from the United squad, goes out to Sevilla to play, doesn't work for him there either. Now he's back at United. He is Manchester United's number 9. Let's not forget that. But at the same time, Ronaldo, whilst he's still there, Martial can't be a guaranteed starter. So Martial, if you're him, where do you go? Do you try and stick it out at Manchester United and fight for your place? The club that you joined back in 2015. He's been there almost 7 years now. Or do you go and play number 2 to Vlahovic, or try and create some kind of partnership with Vlahovic at Juventus? They've obviously been long-term admirers of him. Who knows what happens there? And Manchester United, we mocked them at the start of the week for being interested in Rabiot and Arnautovic, but Manchester United are yet to find an agreement on personal terms with Rabiot. The clubs have agreed a fee in principle worth 15 million, but there is still work to be done. So Manchester United fans, do you still want Rabiot, or do you now switch targets and move on to someone else for that 15 million pound price tag? Manchester United target Cody Gakpo admits that he is more likely to stay at PSV Eindhoven this season if the club qualify for the Champions League proper. I think PSV Eindhoven find themselves in a very tough last qualifying round to get into that Champions League group stage. I think it's against Marseille, if I'm honest. I might be wrong, but it could be against a French team. But I'm looking forward to see how that one finishes. But if Gakpo doesn't get into the Champions League group stage with Eindhoven, he will be going, according to this report from the BBC, to another club that also don't have Champions League football this season, with Manchester United. We also understand that Manchester City are close to agreeing a deal with Anderlecht left back. I can't remember his name. You're going to have to remind me in the comments, but this is something I read this morning, that Manchester City are still obviously looking for that left back, but they are still trying to put that one over the line as well. Too. So listen, there's your news. There's your transfer update on DR Sports. Let's get into a few more comments before we say goodbye. Ryan City Go, obviously a Man City fan, saying, I don't want Bernardo Silva to leave City. He has been an important player for City last season. That's a bit of an understatement. He's been a great player for City across the last 5 years. Hossam Enaba says Chelsea are greater than Arsenal and Spurs. Adwal State says, can't wait to watch Aubameyang getting his revenge on Arsenal. Parisian Londoner says, yes, Verratti has been smoking for years. It's no longer a secret in Paris, but a shame that he's been caught like this by kids after the training session. Kids said to him, next time, hide your lighter and your cigarette. Wow, that's embarrassing if I'm Verratti. And will there be further ramifications for him? Should he get on the vapes instead of the old cigarettes? Let us know in the comments. Eamon saying, I'd run from United if I was Martial. Obviously talking about his links there to Juventus. And Emma K says, we ain't selling Martial. Who are we going to stick up there? We got nobody like Martial. And Hossam says, if you don't want your career to end up down the drain, or if you do, want your career to end up down the drain, go to Manchester United, just like Raphael Varane did. Abba will stink it up, says Northside London. I'm guessing he's an Arsenal fan. A bitter one. Sergio Gomez, there you go. So Sergio Gomez looks like he could be going to City as well. The left back for Anderlecht, around 10 million. Here we go from Fab on Gomez. There you go. Right, there you go. That is it for today. 22 minutes of strong transfer updates from myself, AGT, on DR Sports. Don't forget, tomorrow we'll have another studio-based transfer update for you, and then Saturday we get back into the Saturday football show, which really is my favorite show on DR Sports. And then Sunday, I believe there's some big watch-alongs as well. And then Monday night, I'm at Anfield for the first Premier League game of the season under the lights for Liverpool at Anfield against Crystal Palace, which I really can't wait for. Eamon saying, nice show, Alex. Thank you very much. But until tomorrow, we'll see you soon. Take care. Thanks for watching. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to DR Sports.